Hello, this video is a quick introduction to spreadsheet software. It's especially for those who may have very little experience with spreadsheet software, just a quick introduction. Okay, so at some point in this statistics class, we will use some kind of spreadsheet software. I prefer Excel, though there are a few other options. So as you can see, this screen here is the what you see when you log into My Portal, at least on a computer. I will say that if you are using a mobile device, a lot of what I say now is going to look a little bit different. If at all possible, I would recommend not using Excel or spreadsheet software on a mobile device. However, that's just because I have never had good luck with it. If you use it and you like it and it works well, that is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I've just never been able to get it to do what I want it to do. So I go to a computer because it's much easier. Now, as a student at Fresno City College, you have access to the entire Microsoft Office suite, which includes things like Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all that stuff. So if you if you log into My Portal and you click on the Excel link, it will open, probably will do this if you're on a computer. You should be like, well, what am I trying to say? You see how there's my initials in the corner there. So like I have Microsoft Office 365, or whatever they call it, through the college, just like you. So it should be logged in when you click on that. Now, I already have Excel, the standalone program installed on my computer, but you can do that too. Now, I think that since I already have it installed, you can't see it here, but somewhere, I think it was up here. But somewhere on this page, if you don't have it installed, there should be an option to install on your computer. Now that will only work on a computer. It won't work on a Chromebook or a like an iPad or a tablet or a phone, because those things work on apps, not programs. Okay. So if you just click blank workbook, so you can use Excel from a browser on a computer. You could actually use Excel from a browser on a tablet too. So if you can access a browser like, Chrome or Firefox or something like that, those are the only two I ever use. Like there's also, there's the Microsoft, what do they call it now? Edge. I would not recommend Safari if you're using an Apple product. Um, I don't know. Safari just seems to not work well with lots of things. I don't have any experience with using the web version of Excel through Safari on an iPad. So if you use it, let me know how it goes. But for my open math, just saying don't use Safari for my open math. It just doesn't work. I mean, it works, but not well. Okay. So if you've never used a spreadsheet before, this is what they look like. So this is the web version of Microsoft Excel. I'm going to click on the desktop version here and you can see how it's almost identical, but you see these things are going to change a little bit. Let's see. This is the desktop version and this is because they also have different like different editions, and I don't know which edition I have. I don't actually know. I just realized I don't know if this is this like Office 2016? Is it Office? I'm not sure. All right, and then if you want to use Google Sheets, here if you click on Google, go to what's called Google Sheets. This is what Google Sheets looks like. You see, they're all very similar in some way. Oh, I have a thing here already, which is I was going to show you later. Um, if you don't like Google Sheets and you don't like Excel, there actually is another free option. It's called Open Office. So if you just go search for Open Office, it's apparently made by a company called Apache, but it's openoffice.org. And if you click on it, so this is a free open source suite of things like Excel and Word, but they don't call them that. Let's see. So you can download it. I don't think I have downloaded it. You don't have to download it. You can, I think, access it online just like you can with the Microsoft version. But it is free. And it's open source, right? That basically means that like anybody can look at the programming and they can edit it if they want, but they can't edit the version that you get. And I thought you could use it online, but I'm not seeing how to do that. If you click on product, you'll see that there is a writer that's like Word, there's a calc that's like Sheets or Excel. There's an Impress, which I think that's like PowerPoint, and all that stuff. So say you wanted calc, here's some information about it, but you can, you should be able to just download it. Like, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna download Windows. Um, I don't know. I guess I will. Oh, that's the only one. 32-bit. Okay, English. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think I have it. I'm going to download it right now. I guess you don't have to watch me do this. I will pause the recording. All right, it finished downloading. You can see up here, this is on Chrome, so it might look different if you're using a different browser, but there is where and then if I click on that, it should start the installer, which I will not also make you watch. Okay, so this is what OpenOffice looks like. I have to admit, years ago I looked into OpenOffice, but I haven't looked at it in a really long time. It's a very interesting interface. Um, but like any other spreadsheet software, I think it's pretty much the same. Okay, so I won't demonstrate on this one, but um, let's see. So, but that is an option. This is such a retro interface. It's actually kind of cool. Okay, I'm gonna minimize this and let's go to Excel. So I guess I'll go to the web version. I do find that that's what most students want to use because they either don't want to download and install something or they're not on a computer. I will warn you that um, the statistics function for some of the statistics functions on the web version don't act quite the same as they do on the desktop version. So if you find that what you see demonstrated is it not working for you, then just ask about it because that could be what's going on there. So first of all, let's just talk about what a spreadsheet is, right? It's basically a grid. Um, and there are columns, right? These are the ones that go vertically like this. And in most spreadsheet software, columns are lettered or are no, identified with letters. And the rows are identified with numbers. And so each individual cell is uniquely identified with a column with so the letter number combination, right? So like C3, that's this cell right here. And each of these little rectangles is called a cell, and each one is kind of like a little mini calculator, right? You can do things in these cells like calculate. Well, first of all, the simplest things you can do is just store information. Like you can store text, okay? Or you could store numbers, and we'll use both. Or you could do different kinds of functions. You could do, you can use it basically as a little calculator. So if you wanted to do what is, 56 divided by 5, or I said 56, but I typed 68, 68 divided by 5. Notice how I put equals and then that and hit enter, and it'll actually do that calculation for you. Let's see. Okay. What was next? So notice how in this cell, what you see in the little rectangle is 13.6, but when you click on it, it'll show you what you actually typed in, which is really nice, right? So the spreadsheet gives you the result of your calculation, but you can still see how that calculation came about. Another really cool thing about spreadsheets is that they can reference other cells. So say like I did some calculations and now I want to do some calculations with those calculations. I can click equals and then I can click on this cell and it's going to look at the value in that cell, right? And then I could do something like add it to the value in this cell. And then hit enter and it will add those two things together. Now in this cell here, I just typed in 47. So that cell is sort of like that's 47 is in there. If I change what's in this cell, say I change it from 47 to 3, oh no, it does, yes. For some reason I didn't think it would change it. I don't know why, that was dumb of me. Because in this cell, I am referencing whatever is in A3 and whatever is in A2. So it's taking whatever it sees in A3 and adding it to whatever it sees in A2. So if I change either of those, it will change what is in this here, right? Because it's referencing these two cells. And so if I change these two, what happens here will also change. And that's pretty cool. Let's see. That's, yep. Let's talk about a few more things you might want to do. So like, how could you do like different kinds of math? Say you wanted to do multiplication. How do you do that? Well, you would hit equals, of course, and say you wanted to do like, I don't know, 8 times 17. You would do 8, and then it's the asterisk key, which is the shift 8, or the asterisk on whatever keyboard you're using. So 8 asterisk 17, that is interpreted as the spreadsheet software as multiplication. If you wanted to raise something to a power, equal, say you want to do 2 to the 7th power, this little caret here, and that's actually shift 6 on a regular keyboard. So 2 to the 7th power, that's doing 2 times itself 7 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And it'll do that. So in this case, this is an exponential expression. The base is 2 and the exponent is 7, and it'll evaluate that for you. Addition and subtraction, those are pretty standard. You have the plus sign. You have the minus sign, which is like the dash. Oops. The plus and the equals are on the same key. So if you press shift and then you press the equals key, you'll get plus. So plus, and here's minus. What else? You can also do complicated things using parentheses. Like if you wanted to first add 3 and 9, and then divide that by 4, right? You could do that. 3 plus 9 is 12, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. If you wanted to divide it by 5 instead, there you go. So you can use the standard order of operations that you would use in a calculator to tell Excel like what to do first. And this can be helpful if you're doing complicated formulas, but we won't really be doing very complicated formulas. Now, Excel also has a lot of built-in functions, and we will definitely be using those because it has a whole stats, a whole library of stats functions. So a common thing you might want to do is add a bunch of cells. So let me just type in some number. Why am I not typing? Let me just type in some numbers. And these are just random numbers, right? Say I wanted to add those all up. You would put your equal sign in, then that tells Excel you want to calculate something. But then you can, if you know how to describe what you're doing, like if you know, like, well, I have these numbers, I want to add them, right? So you wouldn't, the word add is not in Excel. It thinks add is address. But the mathematical term for adding is to find the sum. So if you start typing in sum, you'll see that sum is a function in Excel. It actually has a bunch of interesting sum functions that we won't really use. But if you click sum, then it kind of tells you how to do it. And if you want to sum the numbers in all of these cells, you can just use your cursor and click and drag, and it'll go, okay, I'm selecting the cells from G1 all the way through G6, and I want to add those. Notice the colon in between. the colon is kind of like the dash when we say like, oh, 4 through 9, like add numbers, whatever. So that colon is sort of the thing. It's telling them to go from G1 to G6. And you would close your parentheses and hit enter, and it would sum those numbers. Sometimes I like to do a thing where, you like label this cell the sum. Okay, so adding things is a big one. If you want, say you wanted not just the sum of all of them, but what if you wanted the average? What if you wanted the average of them all? Notice I typed in the word average in that cell, but if I type equal and then start typing average, it's like, oh, do you want average? And notice how there's a bunch of different kinds of averages. But the first one is the basic average. And what do you want to average? Well, I want to average these cells and enter. There it goes. So if you were to add, and what does average do? Well, it adds them all up and then divides by how many there were. So the average takes the sum and then divides by 6, because there are 6 numbers here. And I can see that over here, they go to 6. Now, if you if you don't have a mouse that's easy to manipulate this, or you're on a different device, you can just type in the range that you want. Like I know, oh, I want to average the numbers from G1 colon all the way up to G6. You can just type in the references, right? The G1 is the reference for that cell. What if I didn't want to add that, but I wanted to add these numbers over here, right? What if I wanted to average those numbers? Well, then I would say I want to average the, I'm going to delete this. I wanted to average the numbers in A9 through A13. And then that's the average. Now, this is in a bad place because this average looks like I'm averaging those. And you can actually move cells. Say I have that there, but I actually wanted to average these cells. I can select them, and then if you hover over, I guess on the web, it looks like a hand, and I can just click and I can drag it wherever I want. On the desktop version, it doesn't look like a hand. I'll show you. Oh, I don't want letters. I want just numbers. Okay. Like if I select these and I want to move them somewhere else, on the desktop version, it goes from like a bold shadowy cross to just like a 4-arrow cross. And if I click on that, I can drag those anywhere I want. So that's kind of nice. Let's see, anything else I want to say in this short video that's becoming longer than I thought it was going to be? Okay, I think that is all, and Google Sheets pretty much acts the same way. Notice how Google Sheets is anticipating for you, like, hey, do you want to add, are these the numbers you want to add? They're the only ones in the sheet. Maybe you want these, which is nice. And of course, Excel has much more functionality than this. You can do like graphs and you can work with data lots of ways, and we will learn that as we go. But this is just a quick intro if you've never used a spreadsheet. Hopefully you'll play around with it and get to know it a little bit. Okay.